The original six era. 6 teams, one cold-blooded club, endless grudges. This wasn't hockey as we know it. This was survival. Just 6 teams all jammed into the Northeast. You played the same opponents over and over and over again. Rivalries didn't develop, they festered. Montreal hated Toronto. Boston hated everyone. And the players, they didn't wear helmets, but they wore their stitches like war medals. There was no salary cap, no draft, no free agency. If a team owned your rights, they owned your life. You weren't building a career, you were surviving a system. Gordie Howe elbowed his way into legend. Rocket Richard turned scoring into an act of vengeance. Ted Lindsay fought the league in one period and your face in the next. These weren't players, they were gladiators in skates. And the Canadiens, they turned dominance into routine. 5 straight cups from 1956 to 1960. They didn't just beat you, they made you wonder if you even belonged in the league. Travel was brutal, paychecks were worse, careers were short. But every game felt personal. You didn't play for the logo, you played to beat the guy across from you. By the mid-1960s, the league felt like a closed club with a padlock. New cities wanted in, new money wanted in. The NHL had grown stale at the top, and the cracks were starting to show. This was hockey boiled down to its rawest form. Pain, pride, punch-ups. And it would take something seismic to shake it loose. The expansion era. The league doubled, the violence tripled, and a new kind of hockey was born. In 1967, the NHL finally cracked open. 6 new teams crashed the party, doubling the league overnight. The old guard scoffed. The new teams, they swung fists and built grudges fast. The balance of power didn't shift, not yet. The original 6 kept their grip tight, stacking rosters with talent the expansion teams could only dream of. The result? Blowouts, beatings, and bitterness. But slowly, something new started to grow. Cities like St. Louis, Oakland, and Pittsburgh joined the map. Hockey wasn't just a cold-weather Canadian club anymore. It was stretching across the U.S., carving into new markets, new rivalries, and new expectations. And out of the chaos came a monster, the Broad Street Bullies. The Philadelphia Flyers didn't try to finesse their way to relevance. They fought their way there, literally. Line brawls, cheap shots, pure intimidation. They won back-to-back cups in 74 and 75 and dared anyone to stop them. Most didn't. Meanwhile, finesse found a savior in Boston. Bobby Orr changed everything. A defensive-man who skated like a winger and passed like a center. He scored, he fought, he flew, literally. That one airborne goal, it wasn't just iconic. It was a message. Hockey's future has arrived. And as the decade closed, Montreal answered with silence and skill. The late 70s Canadiens didn't talk trash. They just lifted banners. 4 straight cups from 1976 to 1979. They played the game at a speed and precision no one could match. And under all this, something even bigger was brewing. The WHA had emerged. A wild upstart rival league poaching NHL stars and introducing fans to names like Wayne Gretzky. The NHL had gone from a frozen fortress to a war zone of ideas. Old versus new, finesse versus fury, north versus south. The game was changing fast, and the league was just barely holding on. The Gretzky era. One kid broke hockey and then rebuilt it in his image. In 1979, the NHL merged with the WHA. 4 teams came in, including a small market squad from Edmonton, and a 160-pound teenager who would change everything. Wayne Gretzky wasn't just good, he was untouchable. He didn't skate, he glided. He didn't shoot, he calculated. And when the puck was on his stick, the game slowed to his pace. With Messier, Curry, Coffey, and Fuhr beside him, the Oilers became a juggernaut. 5 Stanley Cups in 7 years. And records, he didn't just break them, he detonated them. 92 goals in a season, 215 points in another, 50 goals in 39 games. He wasn't just a face of hockey, he was the league's identity. But Gretzky wasn't the only storm. Mario Lemieux arrived in Pittsburgh, a 6'4" cheat code with silk hands. If Gretzky played chess, Lemieux played jazz. Improvising brilliance, even as his body betrayed him. He was the one player who could challenge the throne. Meanwhile, the rest of the league scrambled to keep up. The Islanders had their own dynasty, 4 straight cups before the Oilers took over. The Flames finally struck gold in '89. Patrick Waugh introduced the butterfly. Steve Yzerman became Detroit's heartbeat. And then, the unthinkable. In 1988, Gretzky was traded to Los Angeles. Canada wept. America tuned in. Suddenly, hockey wasn't just a northern obsession. It was Hollywood. The Kings didn't win a cup, but they didn't have to. Gretzky brought cameras, celebrities, and American kids into the fold. He made the NHL matter in places where ice barely existed. By 1993, parity was rising. Gretzky led the Kings to the final. Lemieux was battling cancer and still dominating. And the Montreal Canadiens won their last cup to date, a fitting final gasp before the league took another wild turn. The Gretzky era didn't just raise the bar. It redefined what was possible. The game was faster. The league was bigger. The stars were brighter. And the days of goon hockey were fading fast. The dead puck era. The goals dried up. The ice got smaller, and the trap took over. The firepower of the 80s was gone. The flair of Gretzky and Lemieux, replaced by the cold efficiency of the trap. This was hockey with a seatbelt on. The New Jersey Devils built the blueprint, clogged the neutral zone, collapsed in the slot, let Martin Brodeur vacuum up the rest. In 1995, they stunned the league by sweeping the high-flying Red Wings in the final. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't fun, but it worked, and every copycat coach took notes. Suddenly, speed didn't matter. Creativity didn't matter. What mattered was structure, obstruction, positional suffocation. It wasn't defense, it was denial. Goalies got bigger, so did their gear. Pads stretched wider, chest protectors ballooned. You weren't scoring 5-hole, you were barely scoring at all. Superstars like Eric Lindros, Jaromir Jagr, and Pavel Bure still made noise, but they were skating through molasses. Every breakout pass felt like a jailbreak. And then came the heartbreak. Canada, once hockey's beating heart, couldn't buy a cup. Vancouver in '94 lost in double OT of Game 7. Calgary in '04, a disallowed goal and a gut punch. From 1993 onward, nothing. The drought had begun. The Red Wings found a way to thrive, blending skill with structure and winning 3 cups behind Yzerman, Lidstrom, and a revolving door of Hall of Famers. The Avalanche rode Waugh, Sakic, and Forsberg to glory. The Stars won ugly and proudly. Clutching, grabbing, trapping, it all became strategy, and fans started tuning out. The league had turned into a chess match, without the checkmates. The warning signs were everywhere. And in 2004, it finally broke. Labor disputes, revenue gaps, empty promises, and then the lights went out. The 2004-2005 season was canceled. No games, no playoffs, no Stanley Cup. It was hockey's darkest winter, but just beyond it was a reckoning. The lockout and salary cap reset era. The league went dark, then came back faster, younger, and finally fun again. In 2005, the NHL disappeared, an entire season gone. No Winter Classic, no playoffs, no Stanley Cup for the first time in 84 years. But when the league returned, it didn't tiptoe back in, it detonated. The red line, gone. 2-line passes, legal. Hooking, holding, clutching, replaced with speed, space, and shootouts. The dead puck era was dead, and right on cue, 2 stars arrived to light the fuse. Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, hockey's salvation duo. Crosby, the Canadian prodigy with vision, grit, and the weight of a broken league on his back. Ovechkin, a Russian wrecking ball with a tinted visor and a cannon for a shot. They didn't just revive interest, they reignited a rivalry the sport desperately needed. Every game felt electric again. Shootouts ended ties. Power plays exploded with motion. Puck movement replaced trench warfare. And behind the spotlight, something even more important had changed. The salary cap. No more dynasty building with blank checks. No more big market hoarding. Teams had to draft smart, develop well, and build lean. And 2 teams did it perfectly. The Pittsburgh Penguins, who stacked Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, and Letang. And the Chicago Blackhawks, who drafted Taves and Kane and built a machine around them. Meanwhile, the Carolina Hurricanes and Anaheim Ducks made their mark. New markets, new champs, and no fear. Rod Brind'Amour hoisted a cup in 2006. Scott Niedermayer lifted one in 2007. Hockey was no longer about where you were from. It was about how fast you could adapt. After years of clutch and grab gridlock, the game was wide open again. Fresh faces, modern systems, clean ice. The rebuild was real, and the future closer than anyone realized. The modern dynasty era. 3 teams, 10 cups. The rest, just trying to keep up. The rebuild was over. Now it was domination time. The Blackhawks, the Kings, and the Penguins didn't just win. They took turns owning the league. 3 teams, 10 Stanley Cups, 1 decade. First came Chicago. Jonathan Toews was the heartbeat. Kane was the swagger. Duncan Keith was the wall. They didn't play flashy. They played perfect. 3 cups in 6 years, they were built through the draft, grown in-house, and lethal under pressure. Then came Los Angeles. Big, bruising, relentless. They didn't outskate you. They dragged you into deep water and drowned you in it. Kopitar, Doughty, Quick. They bullied their way to 2 cups in 3 years, winning Game 7s like it was muscle memory. And then came Pittsburgh revenge arc. Crosby finally got the roster he deserved. Malkin became unstoppable. Phil Kessel turned into a playoff weapon. Back-to-back cups in 2016 and 2017. Speed, depth, and just enough chaos to keep you off balance. In between all that, Ovechkin finally broke through. After a decade of heartbreak, he lifted the cup in 2018, screaming, smiling, soaking it in. It wasn't just a win, it was a vindication. Vegas arrived like a glitch in the system. Expansion teams weren't supposed to make the final in year 1. They did, and then built a contender for real. McDavid started doing McDavid things, skating like the laws of physics didn't apply. He didn't just enter the league, he looked like he came from the future. And as the decade closed, Tampa Bay was knocking, fast, dangerous, and hungry. This era wasn't about surprises, it was about execution. Draft right, build depth, find your goalie, and ride your window until the wheels fall off. But the clock was ticking, contracts were ballooning, cores were aging, and the rest of the league, they were finally catching up. The parody and pandemic era. No dynasties, no favorites, no fans, just chaos. The 2020s didn't start with a game, they started with a shutdown. The world stopped, and so did the NHL. When it came back, the game was the same, but everything else was upside down. Empty arenas, bubble playoffs, artificial crowd noise. You could hear sticks clashing, skates carving, players shouting. It felt like a scrimmage, until it didn't. Tampa Bay thrived in the silence. They steamrolled the bubble, then won again the next year in front of fans. Back-to-back cups, no excuses, no asterisks. Vasilevsky was a wall. Kucherov missed an entire season, came back and led the playoffs in scoring. Point, Hedman, Stamkos. A dynasty born in quarantine. And then, the doors blew open. 2022, the Avalanche. Fast, violent, surgical. McKinnon played like he was shot out of a cannon. Makar broke ankles and systems in the same shift. They took out Tampa in 6 and made it look easy. 2023, Vegas. Not a Cinderella, a superpower. Depth everywhere. Physical, disciplined, explosive. Eichel delivered. Marchessault lit it up. Adin Hill stood tall. 6 years into existence and already lifting the cup. 3 champions in 4 years. No repeats, no constants. Every year brought a new beast. Every bracket was a gamble. And behind the unpredictability, the league was evolving. McDavid put up 150 points. Matthews hit 60 goals. Playoff upsets became routine. Speed, skill, and scoring were king again. Toronto finally won a round. Seattle won its first playoff series. Florida bulldozed its way from 8th seed to the final. This wasn't a league controlled by the big names anymore. It was controlled by timing, depth, and health. No more safe bets. No more dominant reigns. And just beneath the surface, a new era was already starting to stir. The new generation era. The future didn't wait. It showed up early and took over. There was no torch passing. The kids kicked the door down and lit the league on fire. Connor Bedard entered the league like a live wire. The release, the vision, the poise. He didn't ease into the NHL, he attacked it. And he's just the beginning. Logan Cooley, Leo Carlsson, Adam Fantilli, Juraj Slavkovsky, each one bringing something different, and none of them playing scared. They're not waiting their turn, they're taking it. Meanwhile, the old guard's still in the fight. McDavid's putting up video game numbers. McKinnon's playing like a man possessed. Crosby and Ovechkin are still carving up history books. Matthews, Tkachuk, Makar, Pettersson. The league is loaded. And the rosters, they're built differently now. Tampa and Colorado reload on the fly. Florida plays with venom. Vegas still looks dangerous. Detroit still doesn't look like Detroit. The Maple Leafs can't escape pressure. The Oilers can't win when it matters. The Sabres, Senators, and Devils, they've got the pieces. Now they just need to stop wasting them. And then there's the wild cards. Seattle made noise early, but they're still searching for a real identity. The Canucks shocked everyone. And Wembanyama level hype surrounds guys like Celebrini, Demidov, and the next wave behind them. There's no dynasty, no blueprint. Every cup run feels like a coin flip. You need youth, depth, speed, special teams, goaltending, chemistry, and a little bit of madness. The salary cap squeezes everyone. Analytics drive every move. And fans, they're smarter, louder, and more online than ever. This isn't just a new era, it's a new NHL. Fast, fierce, unforgiving, built on skill, powered by swagger, and totally unpredictable. From 6 teams and stitched-up faces to a global stage filled with speed, swagger, and superstars born from chaos. The NHL didn't grow by accident. It was carved out through fists, frost, and failure. It survived collapses, lockouts, and eras where defensemen killed dreams. It thrived through dynasties that ruled decades, and underdogs that rewrote everything in a single spring. From Gretzky to Crosby, from Orr to McDavid, from original 6 bloodbaths to Game 7 overtime glory. Every era left scars, every shift left a legacy. But now, there's no dynasty to dethrone, no script to follow, just 32 teams, dozens of contenders, and a new generation that doesn't care about history. They're here to make their own. This isn't just hockey's next chapter. This is a league completely unchained. And the ending hasn't been written yet.